Carbs, am I right? Yeah. Speaking of carbs,
Speaking about carbs, Dalia, right?
Ooh, I had that in my notes too, dude. I had that in my notes too.
Crazy stuff going on.
Yeah, and he hasn't tweeted anything since that happened, which in my opinion almost makes it look sketchier.
Yeah, it's kind of worse.
Yeah, but also I feel like that's one of those things. I wouldn't know how to play that if I was him either. Whether it even if I didn't do the stuff that I was accused of, I still wouldn't know what to say, because even if he went out and was like, "This is bullshit," he'd still get like a storm of people being like, "Fuck you, no it's not, you're fucking victim blaming," or this, that, the other thing. So it's like, I feel like his only actual play is to not say anything, but also it looks sketchy still.
Yeah, I mean, if it was me, I'd pull a Justin Bieber. Do you see what he did?
No, what happened?
He got accused of rape and then came out with like 6 paragraphs detailing how he couldn't have done it with like fan photos, like people like TMZ type photos of like, see, I was here at this time. Here's my receipt for the Airbnb that me and Selena and friends stayed in. I did not stay at the Four Seasons where this allegation has said taken place. I wasn't even in this part of Texas. You can tell by this photo of the pickup basketball game that me and my friends played. It's like, dude, it's crazy because like Justin Bieber over the years has gotten so much of this type of thing. There's been like fake, like, oh, Justin Bieber is the father of my baby, or like he cheated on his girlfriend with me, or da 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 da. Or there's been so many things that he hasn't addressed throughout the years, but like just because of like everything that's going on now, dude, he came out swinging. He went ham. But Chris D'Elia, he still has like a tweet pinned from like 2 years ago where he's like, "Fuck you, you don't have to follow me, like you little fucking bitch, like
fucking pussy,
cry more, bitch." And it's like, I would have taken that off my pinned tweets
I
after
pinned
something like
nicer,
this.
Like, dude, can we talk about how much I love
like a link to a charity or something, or
donate to 35-year-old women charity or something? I don't know, anything to fucking take the trail off me. I don't know, but Justin Bieber, he hit him with the fucking Brett Kavanaugh technique. He had like fucking journals and fucking pictures and shit like that, which like, I guess it's one of those things where like, what else can you do? If you're in that situation, there's literally only 2 things you can do. You can either do what Justin Bieber did, which is go on a tirade and be like, fuck this is bullshit, here's the receipts, I got
he did it very maturely. He was like, I don't want to take anything away from like people coming out for these sort of things, but I just want to tell my side of the story. Here's all this proof that I didn't do it. Like, please don't make this a thing where you view allegations in the future as less than or whatever, but like, here's the facts. I think that was a very good way to deal with something like that.
I think the conundrum that Chris D'Elia might be dealing with right now, and I just want to
is that he did it.
Okay. I want to preface this by saying,
and I also want to say this too. Like, I feel like I'm probably 100% sure that he has done this. Yes. I don't know if it was a thing where he was just like casting such a wide net that he had like a bot sending out DMs being like, "Hey, want to snug? Hey, da 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 da." Like, he could be that kind of psycho. Like, he could have just like been throwing lines out every which way possible and just like trying to bang as much as he wanted. But also, there are some of those like chat logs or screenshots or whatever where the girls are like, "Yeah, no, I'm 16," or "No, I'm 17," and that's like super damning.
Well, the one that's and this is why I was gonna say that I like Chris D'Elia as a comedian.
Like, we talked about it a couple weeks ago. Like, I liked his last special, and like, that's what sucks about this, because like one of my favorite jokes was him doing like baby voice and all this other stuff. And
he does
tricking
do that,
babies, and it's like, oh, this is great, but also like, I don't know. How'd you come up with this?
He does do that that one voice that he does when he imitates literally anyone, like like that. You know what I'm talking about? Like I don't know how to do it. I suck at impressions, even more than Chris D'Elia.
I don't know what to do in that.
Yeah, that,
like whatever.
perfect.
That kind of like
that thing, and that kind of gets on my nerves a little bit. But altogether, I enjoy his stand up. I actually quite enjoy his. He has that podcast called Congratulations, which I'll watch every now and then. He's got some funny clips on YouTube with that. But altogether, not a huge, crazy big fan of Chris D'Elia. I just kind of like him, you know. But I think what he's dealing with right now is that he probably was messaging this girl. The question is, did he know that she was underage? Because in the particular, the message that blew up first was this chick named Simone Rossi. I was just like cruising the Twitter right before the podcast. Instead of setting up, I was actually looking through the Twitter page and seeing it. And the original tweet that blew up that called him out on everything, she showed the chat log. And like, yeah, in the caption, she says like, imagine being 16 and being groomed by a comedian or whatever. And then the only reason you weren't molested was because you just got a boyfriend your own age or something like that. But in the chat itself, at no point was her age ever mentioned. And that kind of looked to me as like you were saying, like maybe he's got a bot DMing people or whatever, but like, and I know you're joking, but I think probably the more realistic situation is you have a guy who's like one of the most famous comedians out there. He's playing huge sold out shows wherever he goes. I mean, he's kind of got that like Dane Cook energy. Like he's like the comedian that's like hot. You know what I mean? Like literally, I will say this, and I don't want people to take this the wrong way, but girls that I'll hang out with that are like my age, like 25, 26, 27-year-old girls, think Chris D'Elia is hot. And that kind of gave me hope because I was like, oh, cool. So when I'm fucking 39, fucking, you know, girls that are like 20, they'll still think I'm hot, which is cool. It's like, oh, cool. Not that I'd be pursuing them, but it's like, okay, cool. So you can still have swag when you're 40. It was a good feeling to feel like you could still have swag and not be like an unfuckable grandpa when you're fucking 39, you know? Because I'm getting close to 39. The only 11 more years now. We only got like 1 month until I'm 28. But now I'm like, oh, shit. That's not a good thing to say on the podcast like I just did. Regardless, I think what probably was happening is you're playing all these shows.
Yeah. I mean, but also your thing was you're talking about being a 38-year-old or 40-year-old who's dating or hooking up with like late 20s girls.
Yeah, it was just a good feeling to be like, I wasn't talking about 18-year-olds and shit.
Yeah, I don't know.
I just felt
but also the big thing with like this Chris D'Elia thing is like now that like obviously it's totally not right that he was going after underage girls. Mm-hmm. But a lot of the other accusations that were coming out were like I was 18, I was 19, I was 20, and he was like trying to get me to drink with him, and I don't drink, or he doesn't drink, so he was getting me drunk, and and that stuff's gross too. Because like we all knew that person in high school that was like a quote unquote sniper, and they would go to a party, they wouldn't get drunk, and then they'd go pick up a drunk girl. Yeah, and that's fucking gross. Like that's gross.
Yeah.
So like, but also, I'm sure there's tons of comedians who are in their 40s, 50s, or whatever who are banging 18-year-olds and 20-year-olds who are like sitting on the edge of their seats like, I mean, what I'm doing is legal, but
yeah. And there's also, you know, like
not even just comedy, like business. Like you all know the trope of like a dying old man who gets an 18-year-old wife who are like, all right, it's funny because, you know, he's not going to last too long and then she's going to get his money.
Yeah, it's hilarious. But like, yeah, musicians and shit like that, like rock stars, Justin Bieber, you know, he can go out on there and go out on stage.
He's
and
a free
sing.
Man, okay? He's a free man.
He's a free man. But
he's a
like,
free man.
The reality is,
if anything, he was getting groomed, dude, by older women, I assume.
Oh, for sure, dude.
His peak fame was like 15, 16.
Dude, he was sexualized as like an 11-year-old.
Some moms were going after him too.
Oh yeah, for sure. But like with Chris D'Elia, it's like, dude, he's a good-looking guy. He's famous. He's rich. He's playing these shows where girls are probably coming up and talking to him after the show. Hey, but like somehow, I don't know how, you know, they got like, I don't know if that was over like, it looked like it was like Messenger or something, but somehow they had like met at a show, like she said, or something like that. So like they exchanged information somehow. So this is a girl that he met. It
seems like it was all through DMs and shit.
True.
It was all like him trying to get them to come to shows or come to California or whatever. Like, I don't think it was ever like him going to fucking volleyball practice and picking up a teen. I think it was all.
For sure. So it's just one of those things where it's like, I just want to, before I go out and say, again, I don't really have a lot of anything in this race because
we have no skin in this game.
We have no skin in this game, and also
it's kind of just like a thing where I don't know where you're going with this, but I hope that we can both agree that like he shouldn't be doing that.
Oh, for sure, dude. I'm not debating that at all. All I'm saying is a big difference between messaging a girl and then after you message her, find out that she's 18 or not 18. Than if you're purposefully preying on girls that are underage because you're going after girls that are underage. And it looked to me like this specific situation, the one that blew up, unless there was some type of backstory to it where they had talked about it before, but the messages that she put out, nowhere in there was it ever said by either party that she was underage. And then and nothing ever happened. They never met up or anything. So like then 5 years later, she puts it out there and it's like, okay, if we can find, and then like the other people came out and said their shit too. And, all I'm saying is it's probably the worst accusation you could ever put on somebody. The accusation of being a pedophile, that's like the worst thing you could say about somebody. More so like I would rather have somebody believe that I killed 6 people than that I'm a pedophile. I mean, there's nothing worse.
For sure.
There's nothing worse. So all I'm saying is, before we get on this train to be like, Chris D'Elia's done, fuck him, I think it is important to actually look at these situations and really dig into them and see what the real story is. I don't think it should be enough to just have somebody put something on Twitter and then immediately he's fucking done.
Yeah, I mean, I'm willing to keep an open mind, I guess, but also there's been so much stuff that's come out that it's like, I don't know, it's kind of crazy, dude.
Yeah, it definitely is crazy. I like I said, I don't put it past him for a second.
There's a hilarious video where it's like him on another podcast and like you just kind of, it's like they're talking about a story about like this teacher who was sending this 13 or 15-year-old like tit pics on Snapchat, and they're like, yeah, he was saving her Snapchat pictures. And he was like, you can save pictures on Snapchat? And then, like, they're not talking to him at all, but the camera's still on him. And he's just like, okay, oh, shit.
Yeah, it's Matt.
Interesting.
Matt and Sig were actually talking about it on their podcast earlier. They brought that up where they had like the I think in one of the clips they put like the Curb Your Enthusiasm music right after it, like ding, ding. Oh, that's crazy. But it's something that I would like to see it looked into more. And I'd also like to hear what he has to say about it. I mean, it seems like one of those things where you got to address it, dude. You can't just, I think he thinks that he's just going to wait until it dies down, which isn't a ridiculous thing to think would happen because of everything else and how everything else works in the world, where every fucking other day there's a new top line thing that everybody's mad about. And so he might be thinking like, I'll just wait for Twitter to get tired of this subject and then I'll just go back to my normal everyday life. But it kind of seems to me, it's like, dude, if this is something that you're not guilty of, then you kind of got to go, you really should do what Justin Bieber did and maturely address it and be like, no, this is what really happened. This is the situation. I'm not the person I'm being painted to be. So I think right now I'm just really interested to see how he addresses it, Yeah,
it's kind of it's weird because it's almost even like a bigger hurdle to get over than like what Louis was like when he had all of his stuff coming out against him, and like, people still fucking bought his special, still watched all that shit. So like, it'll be interesting to see what happens with this, because like, I don't know, from the accusations, it seems like if it was going to be, if he was going to be held accountable and like get sued or whatever, or like face any sort of consequences, I feel like it's still in the realm of possibilities, because it seems like it's been happening as recently, like
Yeah.
up to 3 or 4 years ago,
Yeah.
depending on like whatever screenshots you see. So like, who knows what's gonna happen? Who knows if this is all gonna blow over? Who knows if he's gonna try to like put his own special out or like do some weird tour? We'll see
Yeah.
if he goes the route of like, now I hate like liberal comics and
Yeah,
I'm gonna
yeah.
fucking rag against you guys and PC culture, and if
Yeah.
he like tries to go some other like lane to get another audience or whatever, but like it's all up to him.
Yeah.
He's awfully quiet right now.
He's awfully quiet.
Almost as if he did all the stuff he's being accused of.
Yeah. Because that is the one thing that like because I had that thing happen with it was nothing sexual, but like that guy last year who emailed every single bar I play at and was talking about like the stuff I say on Facebook and stuff like that. And I'm a fucking nobody. Like I literally just play around Baltimore and say dumb shit on Facebook. Not even really dumb shit. I just say stuff that I think is either funny or true, But either way, that was enough to have somebody that was willing to go through the effort to try and literally make me lose my job,
Yeah, dude.
And so that's another thing.
Could have just waited 6 months.
Yeah, I could have just waited 6 months, and then I'd be back to playing at Coladas in Canton, who literally did fire me. Like I don't play there anymore, and like I said, I'm a fucking nobody, and it was for something like that. So it's like whenever I hear stuff about this type of thing, and I did have this conversation with a couple female friends of mine, where it was like the first day it came out, like it was me, Dom, and two of them, and we were hanging out and just talking. They're like good close friends of mine, and we had this conversation, and they were like, we were kind of like going back and forth, and I was kind of taken up for like. I was trying to be objective about it, because they were kind of taking the angle of like, no, he's a terrible piece of shit person, this, that, the other thing. I was like, all right, I'm willing to entertain that, but also can we talk about the other possibilities and realities of what this situation could be? And she said, we had a nice long, like hour-long conversation about it. And towards the end, she was like, I agree with a lot of things you're saying and the stuff that my brother was saying about like how it is a scary thing that we live in this world right now where anybody could literally say anything about anyone and it could completely destroy your career. And the other reality of this situation is even if this turns out to be not true, it's never going to not taint his legacy, whatever you want to call that. So it's inescapable. It's like, even if you did go through the process of disproving this, there's still going to be people that are going to be like, well, no, because we all know how fucked up the justice system is. And we all know how this, that, the other thing. And so like, just because he's not found guilty or just because he's not this, that, the other thing, like we still believe this, that, the other thing. So it's like, it does permanently destroy you in a way. And that's a scary thing that I think about a lot. And so they were just like, the only thing I would say is it seems like your initial, like your gut reaction when anything happens like this is to always empathize with the guy. And I was like, you're right. That is probably a flaw of mine. Probably because, as a performer and as someone who has aspirations to do something at that level, it is a reality. It's a fear of mine that something that when I see this happening to other people, that it could happen to anyone, And I was just kind of said like, I think you're right about that. And that's probably a flaw of mine that I always approach it from the guy angle. You know what I mean? But also, I've only ever been a guy. And so my gut reaction naturally is whenever something like this happens is to immediately, like the same way when this happens and a girl is immediately going to put herself in the shoes of the girl because she can relate to that more. As a guy, it's more close to home for me to put myself in the shoes of the guy. And it doesn't mean I'm incapable of seeing it the other way. And it doesn't mean that I'm dispelling of what's going on the other side. But I think that has a lot to do with why I always kind of consider all these other things going on,
Yeah, I feel that.
It's like, I'm just being real about it. It's like if this is the case and this guy is a serial predator and he's going after young girls like that, like, yeah, he should, whatever consequences are coming to him, he should get that. But also, I'm also not going to sit here and be like, well, fuck Chris D'Elia immediately, regardless of anything, before we know anything, which I feel like is where all of Twitter is, which is why I think Twitter is toxic, because I don't feel like most people actually think the way people on Twitter think.
Yeah.
I feel like it's such a weird like view of society when you're on Twitter. It's like, it's just all the people that are like super outspoken and you don't really hear much from like, I feel like with the normal person when they see something like this, they're like, oh shit, what's going on?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Because like it's hit bigger news cycles than Twitter. Like I've seen it pop up like on national news with like trying to get like Whitney Cummings to say her piece on it or whatever. And
Yeah, I think I saw something about, what did she say about that?
I don't even know. I just saw the headlines when I was like Googling to see if any other podcast clips came out, and that like popped up. There's been so many clips of just like Theo Vaughn or like Andrew Santino just making like a off the cuff like, oh yeah, you know, they're not drinking Kool-Aid because it's a cold, it's part of their regular diet, or like all this other stuff, and like,
Yeah,
which you know, who knows? They could have just been. That could have been an inside joke that he's a pedophile, ha ha ha. But now it's like, oh no.
True. Well, it's just it's unfortunate that, and this is kind of like I guess something that's always bothered me is that we've kind of blurred the lines of things so much by making everything the biggest deal ever, that whenever something happens, my immediate reaction to it is to question it, because there's been so much shit that's come out that has turned out to be not the way it was told to us, you know? And so when something like this happens in that climate, and that's why I think it's such a terrible thing that people feel the need to elevate every single thing. And I'm not talking about the sexual assault things specifically. I'm talking about anything, any controversy, any scandal, you know, with Kevin Hart or anything like that. Like all these things become like the biggest deal in the world for 2 days. And then after the fact, you look at it and you're like, oh shit, like it wasn't what they were saying it was. And it does have that boy who cried wolf type of scenario where now you've actually undermined the things that are actually going on in this world that are actually really bad, because they're competing for space in people's minds with all this extra bullshit that actually doesn't matter. And now people are getting so numb to it that you could literally say something like this and have it competing in aerospace with something that isn't true, you know? And so now people are naturally like, okay, what am I looking at here? What is something I should care about? What is something I shouldn't care about?